Hello guys, and welcome to a brand new camera comparison between the 2022 iPhone SE against the Samsung Galaxy A53. On the iPhone SE we are shooting at 1080p at 30 frames per second because this is the maximum resolution this phone can shoot. On the A53 on the other hand we are shooting at 4K at 30 frames per second. Starting with some samples from their main cameras, but first let me clarify the testing process. All of the daylight pictures were taken in auto mode with Scene Optimizer enabled on the A53. When we look at this first case, we can clearly see the difference in color. The iPhone SE is a lot cooler compared to the warmer tone of the A53. The latter, however, is doing a better job on highlighting shadow areas. The iPhone SE, from what I could tell, leans more on natural pictures compared to the more vibrant pictures of the A53. The SE also seems to be slightly sharper, but the difference isn't really that big. Once again, in this case, the difference in color calibration is huge. Personally, I prefer the image taken with the iPhone SE, because it is more natural and the dynamic range is on point, while it is slightly washed out on the A53. In most of the cases, however, they were very similar, and honestly speaking, at their price range only a few phones can take better images. With their main cameras, both devices were able to take good pictures, and both of them are distinctive from each other. I did lean more on the iPhone SE, but the Galaxy A53 isn't bad either. The A53, however, wins because it has an ultra-wide camera, which is missing on the iPhone SE. Compared to before, you can fit a lot more on the frame on the A53, and it is a neat feature to have. The ultra-wide camera of the A53 isn't really top class, since it has some lens flare here, but for a mid-range device it does the job. Darker areas aren't as bright as before, but I really praise Samsung for including this camera even with its entry-level smartphones. Apple should really learn to give its users more. Compared to the useful ultra-wide camera, the A53 has also a worthless macro camera. I say worthless because it is only a 5 megapixel lens, and the results it produces aren't really that good. I would rather not have this camera than to be this bad. Both these phones take portrait shots with their main cameras, and the results in this case speak for themselves. Apple has always been ahead from other companies when it came to portrait shots, and these pictures just show. In this other example, once again you can see the difference in quality. The A53 is doing a slightly better job on edge detection, but overall, when it comes to the colors and the details, the iPhone SE is much better. When it comes to their front cameras, they are very similar, but I would give the win for the iPhone SE, since my face is brighter and more natural. In this other sample, once again, our faces are more natural and have more details on the iPhone SE. The A53 is doing fine by itself, but when it comes to this comparison, the SE is better. Here in this case, you can see the difference clearly. Even though my face is very vibrant on the iPhone SE, the overall picture is much better compared to the A53. So far, the 2022 iPhone SE has been better in almost every scenario, but things are about to change in low light. When recording videos with their main cameras, both are very stable, but the colors are much better on the iPhone SE. Also, the dynamic range seems to be much better on the iPhone compared to the Galaxy A53. The A53 on the other hand does also have an ultra-wide camera, and even though it isn't the best for recording videos, it is still nice to have. Moving to low light, and from now on every picture taken with the A53 has night mode enabled. The 2022 iPhone SE on the other hand doesn't even support night mode. Some might think that a fair comparison would be if I didn't use night mode on the A53, but let's speak honestly, it isn't Samsung's fault that Apple doesn't give mid-range phones night mode. Just like in the previous case, once again the A53 with night mode is doing a better job compared to the iPhone SE. My skin color is more accurate on the iPhone, but the A53 is much sharper. In this next case, the difference between these phones is enormous. The SE picture is blurred out, and the details are lost, while the A53 picture is much better. It isn't really comparable with flagships, but when it comes to mid-range devices, the A53 is really good. When it comes to the main cameras, once again the A53 picture is taken with night mode, while the SE is without night mode. Surprisingly, the iPhone is brighter, but the A53 is sharper and it is doing a better job with street lights. For a device without night mode, to be honest, the iPhone SE is doing a fine job. Sometimes, like in this case, it really manages to take decent images, but the A53 remains much brighter, even though here it made everything brighter than it should have. In this next case, however, the A53 is so much better compared to the iPhone SE. Everything is more visible, and the sky looks amazing on that device. The iPhone SE is a lot noisier compared to the Galaxy A53, and it really needs a night mode to compete with other phones in low light. But knowing Apple, this won't ever happen. Even the ultra-wide camera on the A53 is doing a better job in low light compared to the main camera of the iPhone SE. Not only it is much wider, but it is brighter too. Here once again you can fit a lot more in the frame and everything is more visible. This just shows that having a dedicated night mode is really important, just like having an ultra-wide camera. Overall, I would say that in daylight the winner for me was the iPhone SE, but in low light the A53 did a much better job. But which one was your winner? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.